Okay. Listening volume. Well, I probably should have gotten a little festive for this, but I was too lazy to get my Packer Santa hat, and I think it still needs to get washed. So this is a review that I meant to do earlier in the week, but I kind of switched things up a bit. So where I do review, I'm going to be doing reviews on Fridays or the latter half of the week, and do my covers before that, just to switch it back up a bit. So today we're going to be talking about a very old favorite of mine, which is the Veggietales Christmas Party CD. I was looking around for it in the cabinets back there, but I wasn't able to find it. So, yeah, say what you will about this production. Thank God I'm not an actual YouTube commentator because this would probably not go over too well for me. The lack of props and theming for the story. I was thinking about trying to make this some sort of goofy skit or some sort of weird opening, but I was like, look, I just talk about what I think of the product or just do the guitar cover, just be straight and to the point. So, the one thing I would like to say about this album is that before I go into this, I need to talk about my connection to VeggieTales, which is I was over at when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My mom and dad and I were over at a family friend's house, the Bodrogs, and sadly, Mr. Bodrog passed away during the Naval Yard shooting about several years ago. I don't really remember his daughters or the family all that well. I remember one time we went over, I think it was during the summer, and the Bodrogs were a very religious family, and they um convinced me and my parents to watch Veggie Tales. And the idea of talking vegetables, teaching kids about Jesus and the Bible, yeah, I think it's no surprise that Phil Vischer said he was a weird kid growing up. If you're gonna make some, yeah, yeah, I think my parents thought that the creators must have been high when they decided to come up with this idea. Oh man. So I think the first VeggieTales video I saw, I think it was the "Are You My Neighbor" one. So that's kind of what sparked it, and I have a bunch of the videos. I had the plush toys. I had action figures. I was a huge fan of it. And my mom actually got the Christmas CD for VeggieTales for my father around his birthday in the 90s at that point as kind of a joke gift. And not we listen to that album almost every year whenever we go to visit Wisconsin for the holidays. That's always the first album we listen to. We quote it, we talk over it, we make jokes. It's a lot of fun. And so the actual album itself, the one thing that I find really funny about it is that the album is about 24 to 25 tracks long. A little over half, if not half of the album exactly, has tracks where it's just some variation of the characters talking. It's like Veggie's talking some more, Veggie's still talking. So it's actually really funny that half the tracks is just set up for dialogue pieces because it's not really an album in the traditional sense where it's just song after song after song after song. It's actually kind of a flowing narrative because the two main characters, Bob and Larry, are hosting a Christmas party, and there is a whole plot of them performing Christmas songs while also waiting for the hired caterer to bring the food over. And since they're waiting, they decide to just perform music and just kind of have fun, watch movies and stuff. So it is kind of weird. I think they did make a video version of this years later, but it is kind of weird that they decided to make this an album instead of a Christmas special. I mean, this was around the time that the video of A Toy That Saved Christmas came out, so I guess they thought it was overkill. And I mean, Lord knows these videos were really hard to make back then when computer technology wasn't as easy to use as it is now by comparison. So I can kind of understand why they made it a hour long record as opposed to a hour-long movie. And as far as the quality of it goes, there is a lot of the charm. There is a lot of the fun humor that people know and love from VeggieTales. And the songs are covers of classic Christmas songs. You've got "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." We've got "Feliz Navidad." "Angels We Have Heard on High." There's a lot of old classic standards in there. They mainly try to stick to. They do some pop song covers, but they try to stick to the more traditional Christmas hymns and songs. Like, for example, they don't sing some. They're not going to sing something like "Last Christmas" or "Run Run Rudolph." You know, they're not going to sing something that's more rock or pop. They kind of try to stick to something that's a little more, um, as I said, traditional. And there is a lot of. Actually, it's kind of funny because when you're listening to the album, you almost forget that they're waiting for their food to be delivered because you're so caught up in the shenanigans and the charm of the entire party, you kind of forget they're waiting for food to come. Although then again, maybe their antics are from the fact that these vegetables are hungry and are going to eat more. Yeah, food eating food. Okay, well, oh yeah, they're eating stuffed peppers. Is that cannibalism by any chance? Out of curiosity, I mean, it'd be like Bob eating a sub sandwich with lettuce and tomatoes on there. Is he technically eating part of his kin with the sliced tomatoes? I mean, how does that work? um, but as far as the actual singing, Vischer and his usual crew are providing the voices and doing the singing, and all the songs are actually very well done renditions of these timeless classics, you know? And it is kind of funny how I mean, the album, it still has a lot of heart. It's meant to be a lighthearted comedic romp, but it still has the sweetness and the tenderness that's expected around the holiday. The closing track, Away in a Manger, where you have Junior sing it with, I believe, his mother, and then he says, "Merry Christmas, Mom." That's a really, really sweet way to end your album. And I remember as a kid, I think Junior was my favorite character. And oh man, I'm honestly just talking about this just brings back all the memories I have of watching VeggieTales, playing with the toys, and I actually remember seeing the first VeggieTales movie in theaters. I think I spent more time talking about my nostalgia for VeggieTales than the actual album, and yeah, I apologize for that. Um, but I also hear that there's a new Netflix series where it's basically the Muppet Show meets VeggieTales, where Bob and Larry are doing the same things Kermit were doing, except without the guest stars. So I'm going to get Netflix for Cobra Kai anyway, but I'm probably going to check that out at some point because it would be nice to see an old friend like that again. All in all, I really do feel like this Christmas CD, it's very well done, very fun. It's comedic and it's sweet natured. I really think that this was at the point where Phil Vischer and Mike Nawrocki were at the top of their game. They loved what they were doing. They knew what they were doing, and it was just magical to be a part of that and just to listen to all this. Um, so yeah, I honestly think this is a Christmas classic, even though I'm not sure how many people have actually heard this album outside of the fans, but I definitely think it's something that will get you in the Christmas spirit, give you a little bit of a laugh without having any eggnog, and there is some there are some really funny bits, like when the Grapes of Wrath try to get their instrument for "Go Tell It on the Mountain" that Jesus Christ is born, and instead of getting instruments, they bring their busted Grapes of Wrath car and they go busting through the wall. And I just I just remember Bob, "What are you doing bringing a car in here? That's my carpet." So there's that. Um, that's probably the most insane part. Yeah, I'm not sure if a host of a Christmas party would appreciate it if a family of whack jobs came busting through in their car. I don't think that would go over well. And how the hell do they drive a? Okay, I'm getting too much into it, but I'm just gonna stop rambling. This is a great album. If you haven't heard it yet, definitely give it a chance. If you've heard it a bunch of times like I have, just listen to it again. You're still gonna enjoy it. So that's all I gotta say. I will post my guitar cover next week, and I will tell you guys more about my next review. Take care.